Why is it that the very people who share your blood sometimes look at you with eyes that burn with resentment? Why is it that the ones who grew up in the same house, who ate from the same table, who know your childhood stories, are the very ones who whisper against your name? Have you ever felt that sting, the silent coldness, the unexplained hostility, the subtle competition, the hidden jealousy? You ask yourself, what did I do? But I want you to hear me clearly tonight. Sometimes you did nothing wrong. Sometimes the hatred is not about what you did. It is about who God is shaping you to become. There is a pain that comes from strangers, but there's a deeper pain that comes from family. When strangers misunderstand you, you can walk away. But when family turns their hearts against you, it pierces your spirit, it confuses your mind, it makes you question your worth. Yet I need you to understand something powerful. God does not allow that pain without purpose. If God allowed tension in your own household, it is because He is building something in you that cannot be built in comfort. Some of your family do not hate you because you are evil. They hate you because your growth exposes their stagnation. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your faith exposes their doubt. Your vision exposes their small thinking. When God places a dream inside you, it will disturb those who have settled for less. When God begins to elevate your mindset, those who are comfortable with mediocrity will feel threatened, and instead of rising with you, they try to pull you down. You must understand this spiritual reality. Elevation creates separation. When God begins to lift you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, you will not fit in the same spaces anymore. And those who refuse to grow will interpret your growth as pride. They will say, you have changed. Yes, you have changed. God is changing you. And not everyone can handle the transformation God is performing in your life. Sometimes the hatred is rooted in comparison. They compare their timeline to yours. They compare their opportunities to yours. They compare their recognition to yours. And when they see that God is opening doors for you that they prayed for but never walked toward, it creates inner conflict within them. Instead of confronting their own lack of effort, they project frustration onto you. But hear me, you are not responsible for the battles they refuse to fight within themselves. Do not allow their misunderstanding to make you shrink. Do not reduce your light to make others comfortable in darkness. If God placed fire inside you, you cannot apologize for burning brightly. If God gave you clarity, you cannot pretend to be confused just to fit in. You must accept that some relationships cannot survive your obedience to God. There are people in your family who are used to the old version of you, the insecure you, the silent you, the one who tolerated disrespect. But when God begins to awaken your confidence, when He strengthens your voice, when He teaches you boundaries, they fear resistance. Why? Because your weakness benefited them. Your silence protected their control. Your insecurity fed their dominance. But when God restores your identity, the system shifts. Understand this deeply. Sometimes God allows family resistance to test your loyalty. Will you compromise your calling to maintain comfort? Will you silence your conviction to keep peace? Will you disobey God just to avoid tension at home? God watches how you respond when the pressure comes from those closest to you. Because if you cannot stand firm in your own house, how will you stand firm in the world? Some of you are carrying wounds because you expected support. You thought they would celebrate you. You thought they would encourage you. You thought they would defend you, but instead they criticize you. Instead they mock your ideas. Instead they highlight your mistakes. And you ask God, why? But what if the resistance is training? What if God is building emotional endurance? What if He is strengthening your heart so that no applause defines you and no criticism destroys you? There's a powerful truth you must hold. Not everyone assigned to your bloodline is assigned to your destiny. Blood connects you biologically, but purpose connects you spiritually. And sometimes God will allow distance to protect your focus. Sometimes separation is not punishment, it is preparation. When you start praying more, they say you are extreme. When you start working harder, they say you are obsessed. When you start setting boundaries, they say you are disrespectful. But what they call extreme, God calls discipline. What they call obsession, God calls dedication. What they call disrespect, God calls self-respect. Do not let their vocabulary redefine your obedience. You see, hatred often grows in proximity. The closer someone is to you, the more clearly they see your potential. And potential is intimidating. Potential is threatening. Potential reminds people of what they could have been. When they look at you and see courage rising, faith growing, wisdom expanding, it becomes a mirror. And not everyone likes the reflection. Some of your family members are fighting internal battles you cannot see. They are battling insecurity. They are battling regret. They are battling fear. And when they see you moving forward with confidence in God, it agitates their inner chaos. Instead of asking God to transform them, they try to minimize you. But hear me carefully. You cannot dim your future to comfort someone else's insecurity. If God is calling you higher, you must go higher, even if you walk alone for a season. Loneliness in obedience is better than company in disobedience. There is also a spiritual principle at work. When God chooses someone for impact, resistance appears early. The moment you decide to break generational cycles, you will feel pushback. When you choose integrity in a family that normalizes compromise, you will be labeled different. When you choose discipline in a family that glorified excuses, you will be misunderstood. But that misunderstanding is evidence that you are disrupting something unhealthy. You are not born to repeat patterns. You are born to transform them. And transformation always creates tension. Do not internalize their hatred as proof of your failure. Sometimes it is proof of your progress. When you remain calm while they provoke you, you are progressing. When you forgive while they attack you, you are progressing. When you keep building while they gossip, you are progressing. God sees every silent victory. The truth is, some people in your family fear losing control over you. When you depended on them emotionally, they felt powerful. When you sought their approval, they felt validated. But when God teaches you to seek His approval above all, the dynamic changes. And that change feels like rejection to them. But listen to me. If God is for you, no rejection can destroy you. If God is guiding your steps, no opposition can stop you. The hatred may slow you down emotionally, but it cannot cancel what God has written for your life. Some of you are wounded because the criticism is constant. They remind you of your past mistakes. They bring up old failures. They refuse to acknowledge your growth. But understand this, people who benefit from your brokenness struggle to celebrate your healing. When God restores you, it disrupts the version of you they controlled. Do not fight hatred with hatred. That is a trap. If you allow bitterness to enter your heart, you will sabotage your own peace. Instead, respond with strength. Respond with maturity. Respond with excellence. Let your success speak where your mouth ran. Ain't silent. God is using even their hostility as fuel. Every time they doubt you, let it strengthen your discipline. Every time they underestimate you, let it sharpen your focus. Every time they talk against you, let it remind you that you are walking a path not everyone understands. And let me say something that may be difficult to accept. Sometimes family hatred reveals your calling. The areas where you face the most resistance often point to your assignment. If they criticize your ambition, perhaps you are called to build. If they mock your faith, perhaps you are called to lead spiritually. If they question your intelligence, perhaps you are called to teach and influence. You cannot allow emotional pain to distract you from divine purpose. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it is heavy. Yes, it feels unfair. But God is not unaware. God sees the tears you hide. God hears the prayers you whisper at night. God understands the loneliness that sits in your chest when you realize that home does not feel like support. Yet even in that loneliness, God is close. When human affirmation disappears, divine reassurance becomes clearer. When people misunderstand you, God confirms you. When they isolate you, God strengthens you. Some of your family members hate you because you refuse to participate in negativity. They are used to gossip, they are used to conflict, they are used to chaos, but you chose peace, you chose growth, you chose discipline, and that choice separates you. You must not become bitter. You must become better. You must not become resentful. You must become resilient. You must not seek revenge. You must seek refinement. God is shaping your character in the fire of misunderstanding. He is teaching you patience. He is teaching you emotional intelligence. He is teaching you how to stand alone without feeling abandoned. The pain you feel now will one day become wisdom. Rejection you endure now will one day become testimony. The isolation you experience now will one day become strength. Some of you need to stop asking, why do they hate me? And start declaring, God is preparing me. The question shifts your focus from confusion to confidence. It moves you from victim mentality to victorious identity. You are not cursed because of family tension. You are being carved, you are being molded, you are being elevated internally before you are elevated externally. Do not argue every accusation, do not defend yourself against every lie. Silence can be powerful. Consistency can be powerful. Growth can be powerful. Over time, fruit speaks louder than arguments. Understand that forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is freedom. When you forgive, you release yourself from emotional change. You are not excusing behavior. You are protecting your peace. And let me remind you, God can use even those who oppose you to position you. Sometimes their rejection pushes you to develop independence. Sometimes their criticism pushes you to refine your craft. Sometimes their absence pushes you to rely fully on God. You are stronger than you think. You are more called than you realize. You are more protected than you feel. When you walk into a room and sense tension, do not shrink. Stand firm. Let your confidence come from God, not from their approval. Let your peace come from God, not from their validation. If they refuse to understand you, continue to understand your purpose. If they refuse to support you, continue to support your growth. If they refuse to celebrate you, celebrate the progress God is creating within you. Some relationships will heal over time. Others may remain distant. But your responsibility is not to control their hearts. Your responsibility is to guard yours. Do not let hatred turn you into someone you are not. Stay kind. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. Stay faithful to God. Because in the end, what God builds in you through resistance will be stronger than anything built in comfort. The tension you endure now is forging inner steel. The tears you cry now are watering future strength. The loneliness you feel now is teaching you to find completeness in God alone. And when the day comes that your life reflects stability, wisdom, and success, some of those who misunderstood you will remember how you stayed steady. They will remember how you did not retaliate. They will remember how you kept rising. Until then, keep trusting God, keep building quietly, keep strengthening your spirit, keep elevating your mindset, keep protecting your peace, keep moving forward even when the support you expected never arrives. Because the same God who allowed the tension is the God who will use it to shape a version of you so powerful, so disciplined, so unshakable that no hatred, not even from family, can ever stop what He has already decided to do through your life. Let me take you deeper, because this is not just about emotional tension in a household. This is about destiny under pressure. This is about identity being forged in opposition. This is about God allowing friction so that your character becomes unbreakable. You must understand that when gold is refined, it is not placed in comfort. It is placed in fire. And when God intends to purify your motives, strengthen your backbone, and sharpen your discernment, He will allow situations that expose who you really are inside. Some of your family members are not reacting to who you are today. They are reacting to who you are becoming tomorrow. They sense the shift. They feel the transformation. They notice that your conversations are different, your priorities are different, your discipline is different. And when growth happens in one person within a stagnant environment, the environment feels disrupted. The system resists this change. You must not interpret resistance as a sign to retreat. Resistance is often confirmation. When you begin to align your life with God's direction, there will be discomfort around you because alignment requires adjustment. And not everyone wants to adjust. There are families where mediocrity became normal, where compromise became tradition, where fear became inherited. And when you decide that the cycle stops with you, you are not just making a personal decision. You are making a generational declaration. And declarations shake foundations. Some of them are uncomfortable because your obedience to God highlights their disobedience. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your consistency exposes their inconsistency. And instead of humbling themselves before God, they try to humble you through criticism. But what they do not realize is that God is using their criticism as a weight in your spiritual gym. Every negative word is resistance training. Every insult is building emotional muscle. Do you know why some of them cannot celebrate your small wins? Because small wins grow into big victories. And they see the trajectory, they see the pattern. They recognize that if you continue at this pace, you will surpass limitations they accepted long ago. And instead of confronting their own fear of growth, they attempt to sabotage your momentum. But listen carefully. Sabotage only works if you internalize the attack. If you refuse to absorb their negativity, their words lose power. If you refuse to believe their doubt becomes noise. You cannot control what they say, but you can control what you store in your heart. God is teaching you emotional discipline. He is teaching you how to hear without absorbing, how to see without reacting, how to endure without collapsing. Because the higher the calling, the thicker the skin must become. Sensitivity without strength will not survive destiny. Some of you are experiencing subtle rejection. It is not loud. It is not obvious. It is in the small things, the lack of encouragement, the passive comments, the sarcasm disguised as humor. And that quiet hostility can hurt more than open confrontation. But understand this. God sees what is hidden. He sees the glances. He hears the whispers. He understands the emotional weight you carry, and yet He allows it. Why would God allow it? Because He is building independence in you. There is a dangerous place called dependency on human validation. If you are addicted to applause, you will fear opposition. But when God trains you to draw confidence from Him alone, you become fearless. You begin to move based on conviction, not compliments. Some family members are used to a hierarchy where you were beneath them. They were the advisors. They were the decision makers. They were the voices of authority in your life. But as God matures you, you begin to think for yourself. You begin to seek wisdom directly. You begin to stand on your own understanding, shaped by divine guidance. And that shift threatens established roles. Do not mistake their discomfort for your disrespect. Growth changes dynamics. Maturity changes expectations. And not everyone is prepared for the new version of you. There is also a spiritual loneliness that comes with being the one who sees differently. When you carry vision, you often walk ahead mentally before others catch up physically. You see possibilities they cannot see. You sense opportunities they ignore. You discern dangers they underestimate. And when you try to explain it, they look at you as if you are exaggerating. But vision is not meant to be understood by everyone. It is meant to be stewarded by the one God entrusted it to. Some of you have been labeled arrogant simply because you refuse to shrink. You have been called distant simply because you refuse to engage in negativity. You have been called rebellious simply because you question unhealthy traditions. But questioning dysfunction is not rebellion, it is wisdom. And wisdom will always disturb comfort zones. You must guard your heart from bitterness. Bitterness is heavy. It will slow your progress. It will cloud your judgment. It will poison your peace. And the enemy of your destiny would love for you to become as toxic as the environment you are trying to rise above. But you must refuse that trap. Instead of asking God to remove every difficult person, ask Him to strengthen your spirit. Instead of praying for them to change overnight, pray for your character to remain intact. Because sometimes the greater miracle is not their transformation, it is your endurance. There are moments when you will feel misunderstood to the core, when you will think, if they really knew my heart, they would not treat me this way. But not everyone deserves access to your heart. God sometimes limits understanding to protect your focus. If everyone understood you, everyone would have influence over you. Limited understanding creates limited interference. You are not called to win every argument. You are called to win the internal battle. The battle against doubt, the battle against insecurity, the battle against the temptation to quit. If you conquer yourself, you have already conquered half the war. Some of your family members operate from fear of being left behind, fear of losing relevance, fear of losing control. And fear often disguises itself as anger. It disguises itself as criticism. It disguises itself as mockery. But behind the harsh tone is insecurity. You must learn to see beyond behavior, not to excuse it, but to understand it. When you understand that their hostility is rooted in internal struggle, you stop personalizing everything. You realize that their battle is with themselves, not with you. However, understanding does not mean tolerating disrespect without boundaries. God is not calling you to be a doormat. He is calling you to be disciplined. There is a difference. Discipline means you respond wisely, not emotionally. It means you set boundaries without hatred. It means you protect your peace without losing your compassion. Some of you feel guilty for outgrowing certain conversations. You feel guilty for wanting more. You feel guilty for dreaming bigger. But guilt is misplaced when growth is guided by God. If God is expanding your capacity, you must not apologize for expansion. Remember this, not everyone who shares your last name shares your assignment. And that is okay. You can love them without living like them. You can respect them without repeating them. You can honor them without imitating their limitations. The tension you feel is often the pressure of transition. You are transitioning from who you were to who God is shaping you to be. And transitions are uncomfortable, especially for those who benefited from your old identity. Do not be surprised if they remind you of your past repeatedly. The past is their evidence that you will not change, but your consistency is your evidence that you already have. Keep showing up differently. Keep responding differently. Keep choosing differently. At times you may feel tempted to prove yourself, to argue your case, to display your achievements. But real elevation does not beg for recognition. It manifests naturally. When God lifts you, explanation becomes unnecessary. There is also a divine test in this season. Can you succeed without becoming proud? Can you endure opposition without becoming cold? Can you risk without becoming ruthless? God is shaping your heart while shaping your past. And if your heart remains pure, your future remains protected. Some family members will only respect you after they see results. They do not believe in seeds, they only believe in harvests. So while you are planting, they mock you. While you are watering, they question you. But when the fruit appears, their tone changes. Do not wait for their approval to continue planting. Let your focus be stronger than your feelings. Feelings fluctuate, focus stabilizes, and God honors consistency. Even when no one claps, even when no one understands, you are not alone in this journey. When it feels like your own household does not support you, remember that God is closer than any human presence. He strengthens your inner world so that external storms do not destroy you. There will be days when the weight feels heavy, days when the silence is loud, days when you question whether the pursuit is worth the tension. In those moments, return to your foundation, return to your reason, return to the conviction that God placed inside you. Because what God plants, He sustains. Do not let temporary hostility cause permanent decisions. Do not abandon long-term vision because of short-term discomfort. The storm inside your home is not greater than the purpose inside your spirit. One day, you will look back and realize that the very resistance that made you cry also made you strong. That the very tension that made you question also made you clear. That the very rejection that hurt your heart also purified your motives. And when that day comes, you will not carry resentment, you will carry wisdom. You will not carry bitterness, you will carry strength. You will not carry anger, you will carry discernment. Until then, stay steady, stay disciplined, stay anchored in God. Let your growth speak. Let your character shine. Let your faith remain unshaken. Because even if some of your family cannot see what God is doing in you, that does not mean God has stopped working. It means He is working quietly, deeply, strategically, preparing you for a level where their misunderstanding cannot reach and their hatred cannot follow. There is another dimension to this struggle that many people are afraid to confront, and that is the reality that sometimes hatred from family is a sign that you are breaking an invisible chain. Chains do not shatter quietly. When iron breaks, it makes noise. When cycles end, there is disruption. And when God appoints someone to rise within a lineage, that rise shakes what has been comfortable for decades. You are not just fighting attitudes. You are confronting patterns. You are challenging mindsets that were never questioned. You are daring to believe that your story can be different. And when you dare to believe differently, you threaten the narrative that kept everyone else comfortable. Some of them resent your hunger. They resent that you are not satisfied with survival. They resent that you seek excellence when they settle for average. They resent that you pray with conviction while they pray out of routine. And the more serious you become about your growth, the more intense their discomfort becomes. But understand this deeply. God does not awaken hunger in you without intention. That desire for more integrity, more discipline, more purpose, it did not come from ego, it came from divine stirring. And when God stirs you, you cannot go back to sleep just because others prefer silence. There's a loneliness that comes with awakening. When your mind expands, all conversations feel small. When your spirit strengthens, all habits feel heavy. When your vision sharpens, all distractions feel unbearable. And when you start withdraw, i.e. from things that drain you, some family members interpret it as rejection. They say you think you are better, but it is not about thinking you are better. It is about knowing you are responsible. Responsible for your calling, responsible for your future, responsible for the seeds you plant today that will shape generations tomorrow. You must recognize that sometimes God isolates you within your own circle to teach you how to stand without applause. When you can endure isolation without losing your faith, you become unshakable. When you can remain kind in hostile environments, you become powerful. When you can maintain discipline while surrounded by doubt, you become rare. And rarity always attracts resistance. Some of you feel a deep ache because you expected unity. You believe that blood would guarantee loyalty. But loyalty is not inherited, it is chosen. And sometimes those who share your genetics do not share your values. That realization can break your heart, but do not let it break your spirit. God is teaching you discernment. Not everyone who smiles at family gatherings supports your growth. Not everyone who shares your history supports your future. And discernment is not suspicion, it is clarity. It is the ability to recognize what aligns with your purpose and what distracts from it. There is also a test of humility in this season. You must be careful not to let their hatred make you arrogant. Do not let your growth become pride. Do not let your progress become superiority. Remember that everything you have is from God. Your strength is from God. Your opportunity is from God. If God withdrew his support for one moment, you would feel it immediately. So stay grounded, stay grateful, even when misunderstood. Remain humble. Humility does not mean allowing disrespect. It means recognizing your dependence on God. Some family members will attempt to remind you of who you used to be. They will use your past as ammunition. They will say, you forgot where you came from. But remembering where you came from does not mean staying there. Gratitude for your origin does not require permanent residence in limitation. You can honor your roots while growing beyond them. There are moments when silence will be your strongest weapon. Not passive silence, but powerful silence. Silence that says, I do not need to defend myself. Silence that says, God knows the truth. Silence that says, time will reveal what words cannot. You must also learn the discipline of emotional distance. Not hatred, not revenge, but healthy space. Sometimes proximity fuels conflict. Sometimes stepping back protects your focus. And God may instruct you internally to limit exposure so that your mind remains clear. Do not confuse distance with dishonor. You can love from afar. You can pray from afar. You can forgive from afar. But you cannot grow if you remain entangled in constant emotional warfare. Some of you are experiencing opposition because you refuse to inherit fear. In families where risk was avoided, your boldness feels reckless. In families where silence was safety, your voice feels dangerous. In families where dreams were suppressed, your ambition feels threatening. But courage is not rebellion when it is guided by God. It is obedience. You are not called to repeat what was. You are called to reveal what can be. And that revelation requires bravery. It requires standing alone at times. It requires believing when no one else does. There will be nights when you feel misunderstood to the point of exhaustion, when you question whether it is worth it to keep pushing forward. But remember this, the same God who placed vision inside you also placed resilience inside you. You were not given a dream without being given the capacity to endure. Some of your family members secretly admire your strength, but their pride will not allow them to say it. They observe your discipline. They notice your growth. They see your consistency. And even if their mouths speak criticism, their minds recognize progress. Do not wait for their verbal validation. Your validation is already written by God. There is a refining happening inside you, refining of motives, refining of reactions, refining of patience. God is not just preparing you for success, He is preparing you to handle it. Because success without character destroys. Elevation without humility corrupts. Influence without discipline collapses. So while you are being misunderstood, you are also being molded. Do not let their temporary perceptions shape your permanent identity. Who they think you are is not who you are. Who they say you are is not who you are. Your identity is rooted in what God has spoken over your life, through the gifts, passions, and convictions He placed within you. Some seasons will feel like walking through fire inside your own home. Conversations feel tense. Energy feels heavy. But even in that fire, you are not alone. God is present in your endurance. He strengthens your spine when you feel weak. He steadies your emotions when they fluctuate. And here is a powerful truth. Sometimes the hostility you face is training you for environments beyond your family. If you can maintain integrity under familiar pressure, you will maintain integrity under public pressure. If you can control your emotions when provoked by relatives, you will control your emotions when challenged by the world. Nothing is wasted, not the tears, not the misunderstandings, not the silent dinners, not the open gatherings. Every moment is shaping you. You must also confront the temptation to withdraw completely from love. When hurt accumulates, heart wants to close. It wants to protect itself by becoming cold. But do not let pain transform you into someone incapable of compassion. Strength does not require hardness. You can be firm without being frozen. Continue to show respect, even when it is not reciprocated. Continue to operate with excellence, even when it is not acknowledged. Continue to seek God sincerely, even when others mock your dedication. Because ultimately, your life is not a performance for them. It is a stewardship before God. There is coming a day when clarity will replace confusion, when what they misunderstood will become undeniable, when what they resisted will become evident. But even if that day never comes, your obedience must not depend on their recognition. Stay anchored, stay focused, stay disciplined. Let your heart remain pure. Let your intentions remain clean. Let your faith remain steady. Because if God is shaping you through this tension, then this tension is temporary. But the strength it produces will last a lifetime. And when you rise, it will not be with bitterness in your spirit, but with wisdom in your eyes, resilience in your posture, and unwavering trust in the God who carried you through the very place that tried to break you. There is a sacred strength that is born only in contradiction. When the voices around you question your direction, and yet you continue walking with conviction, something supernatural solidifies inside you. God uses contradiction to clarify your calling. When everyone agrees with you, you may be walking in comfort. But when resistance surrounds you and you still feel peace in your spirit, that is confirmation that your steps are guided by something greater than approval. Some of your family members are not angry at your success. They are unsettled by your discipline. Success can be dismissed as luck. Discipline cannot. Discipline exposes effort. Discipline exposes sacrifice. Discipline reveals that you are willing to endure discomfort for a greater outcome. And when they see you waking up earlier, praying longer, studying harder, refusing distractions, they realize that your progress is intentional. Intentional growth is intimidating. You must also understand that familiarity can breed undervaluation. Those who watched you grow up often struggle to see you as evolved. They remember your childhood mistakes. They remember your awkward phases. They remember your immaturity. And because they knew you when you were developing, they struggle to accept that you have developed. But growth is real. Transformation is real, and God is not limited by people's outdated perception of you. Do not let someone's old memory define your present reality. The fact that they knew you when you were weaker does not mean you are still weak. The fact that they saw you fail does not mean you are destined to fail again. God specializes in progression. He builds layer upon layer, season upon season, shaping you into someone stronger than your past. There's also a deeper truth. Sometimes God allows those closest to you to misunderstand you so that you will seek Him more intensely. When human understanding disappears, divine communion increases. When you realize that your explanations fall on deaf ears, you learn to pour your heart out to God instead. And that intimacy strengthens you more than validation ever could. Some of you are in a season where you feel like an outsider in your own home. Your mindset feels different. Your habits feel different. Your goals feel different. But do not interpret difference as disconnection from God. Sometimes difference is evidence of elevation. When an eagle matures, it cannot continue living like a sparrow. It cannot remain at ground level. Its wings demand altitude. And when your spirit matures, your environment may no longer feel comfortable. Do not be afraid of that discomfort. It is a sign of expansion. There will be moments when accusations arise. They may twist your words. They may assign motives to you that do not exist. And it will hurt because you know your heart. But remember this, God knows your heart more deeply than you do. You are accountable to Him, not to their assumptions. If your intentions are pure, if your actions are disciplined, if your pursuit is sincere, then let time expose truth. You do not have to fight every rumor. You do not have to chase every misunderstanding. Truth stands without your panic. You must also guard against the temptation to prove your worth through achievement. Sometimes when family doubts you, you push yourself to succeed just to silence them. But success fueled by revenge is unstable. Let your motivation be purpose, not pride. Let your drive come from obedience to God, not the desire to win an argument. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are aligned with your calling. That confidence does not shout, it does not boast, it simply persists. It keeps showing up, it keeps building, it keeps believing, and persistence terrifies those who hoped you would quit. Some of your family members expected you to give up. They assumed the pressure would break you. They predicted that the criticism would weaken you. But every time you remain calm, every time you stay focused, every time you refuse to retaliate, you are defying their expectations. And that defiance is not rebellion, it is resilience. There is also a lesson in restraint. You have the power to expose flaws. You have the words to defend yourself sharply. You have the evidence to counter accusations. But sometimes God calls you to restraint. Restraint builds mastery over your emotions. It builds maturity. It builds spiritual authority. When you can respond to hostility with composure, you demonstrate strength that cannot be manufactured. Do not underestimate the power of your example. Even if they do not acknowledge it now, your consistency is planting seeds in their minds. They see your patience. They see your discipline. They see your refusal to descend into chaos. And even if pride prevents them from admitting it, something inside them is being challenged. Sometimes your role is not to convince, it is to embody. There may come a time when distance becomes permanent. Relationships may shift, communication may lessen, and that reality can be painful. But remember, your destiny cannot be held hostage by emotional attachments. If God is leading you into a new season, you must be willing to step forward, even if it means leaving comfort behind. This does not mean abandoning love. It means prioritizing obedience. You must ask yourself a hard question. Would you rather be accepted and stagnant or misunderstood and growing? Comfort can be addictive, but neither builds legacy. God did not place vision inside you so you could shrink to maintain peace. He placed vision inside you so you could expand and reflect His greatness through your character, your discipline, and your impact. There is also a refining of loyalty happening. When family opposition arises, you discover what truly anchors you. Are you anchored in applause or in conviction? Are you anchored in approval or in obedience? When the pressure increases and you still stand firm, you discover the depths of your own faith. And that discovery is powerful. You are not alone in this emotional battlefield. God is shaping you quietly. Every tear strengthens empathy. Every misunderstanding sharpens discernment. Every lonely night builds endurance. One day, the very strength you developed in this season will be the reason others seek your guidance. They will ask, how did you remain steady? And you will remember these moments. You will remember the hurt. And you will realize that nothing was wasted. Some of you need to release the fantasy that everyone will eventually understand you. That expectation keeps you trapped. You keep waiting for a day when they finally see your heart clearly. But clarity is not guaranteed. What is guaranteed is growth if you remain consistent. Do not delay your obedience waiting for unanimous support. Your journey with God is personal, it is intimate, it is sacred. And sometimes sacred journeys are misunderstood by those who are not walking them. Continue building quietly. Continue improving privately. Continue strengthening your mind. Continue refining your character. Let your success be stable, not rushed. Let your influence be earned, not forced. If you remain faithful in this season of misunderstanding, you will emerge with depth, that cannot be imitated. You will carry a calm that cannot be shaken. You will possess a wisdom that cannot be taught in comfort. And when you stand in your future, looking back at this season, you will not say, they almost broke me. You will say, God built me there. So now, after everything you have endured, after every silent tear, after every tense conversation, after every moment you questioned why the very people who should have supported you seem to stand against you, I need you to lift your head and see this clearly. None of it was random. None of it was wasted. None of it slipped past the awareness of God. You are not attacked because you are weak. You are resisted because you are rising. You are not criticized because you are insignificant. You are challenged because your growth disrupts comfort. And the pain you felt was not a sign that God abandoned you. It was evidence that He trusted you with pressure. Understand this with absolute clarity. Some of your family members may never fully understand your journey. They may never see the depth of your prayers. They may never recognize the battles you fought in silence. They may never admit that your discipline inspired them. But their understanding is not the foundation of your destiny. God is, you must leave this season with strength, not scars. You must walk forward with wisdom, not wounds. Let what you experience sharpen you, not harden you. Let it deepen your compassion, expand your patience, strengthen your boundaries, and solidify your faith. Because the true victory is not that you succeeded in front of them. The true victory is that you remained aligned with God despite them. You are not defined by their rejection. You are not limited by their opinions. You are not delayed by their doubt. What God has written for you cannot be erased by misunderstanding. What God has planted in you cannot be uprooted by criticism. What God is building through you cannot be destroyed by hostility. One day you will look back at this chapter and realize it was the training ground. It was the furnace that purified your motives. It was the battlefield that strengthened your discipline. It was the lonely corridor that taught you to depend fully on God. And you will see that the very place that tried to discourage you became the place that developed you. So stand tall, stay humble, remain focused, guard your heart, protect your peace, continue seeking God with sincerity, continue growing with consistency, continue walking with integrity. Do not allow temporary tension to cause permanent damage to your spirit. If they misunderstood you, forgive. If they doubted you, persist. If they opposed you, remain disciplined. If they distance themselves, remain anchored. Because your journey is not powered by applause, it is sustained by obedience. And as you move forward, let this truth echo within you. The same God who carried you through family opposition will carry you into future elevation. The same God who strengthened you in hidden battles will establish you in visible victories. The same God who watched you endure in silence will honor your faithfulness in due time. You were not placed in that family to be crushed. You were placed there to be refined. You were not surrounded by resistance to be defeated. You were surrounded by resistance to be revealed. And as long as your heart remains aligned with God, no hatred, no misunderstanding, no rejection, whether from strangers or from your own blood, will ever be powerful enough to stop what He has already decided to accomplish through your life.